The anime kicks off with a meeting between the school principal and the new teacher, Nueno, who's joining the school. There, the principal spills some info about the place, telling him it's called the Gathering of Spirits, and that all the students have been hurt by evil spirits. Spurred by this disturbing info, Nueno digs into it, starting to search the whole city with his special crystal. He finds out that this town gives off a spiritual magnetic field. After checking out lots of places, he confirms there's a magnetic field unlike anything natural. This field pops up when the balance kept by circulating yin and yang energy breaks down, pulling in spiritual energy and making a spiritual magnetic field. He figures this could be the reason for all the supernatural sightings and believes that, eventually, the town will fall into a twilight state after some destructive force from the spirit world gets close. While he's searching, spooky figures show up, approaching and attacking him, which totally confirms his theory about how dangerous the place is. Meanwhile, the school is buzzing with students heading inside for their classes. In the principal's office, he was totally convinced about hiring Nueno for the school because he's the only one in Japan with psychic power. He was sure Nueno could look after the kids and keep them safe from this new generation. Nueno, for his part, assures him they'll be in safe hands. In teacher, Nueno's assigned class, a student named Katsuya was on his phone. His friend Makoto warned him not to, so he wouldn't tick off the new teacher, but Katsuya just shrugged him off. When Katsuya spots his friend Hiroshi, he notices Hiroshi is ignoring everyone and acting weird. This stops Katsuya from calling out to him because of some beef between them. That's when Kyoko steps in and goes to Hiroshi, asking him why he's changed so much and started ignoring everyone. She figures he wants his new classmates to think he's all serious, but Hiroshi just turns his face away, which bugs Kyoko, so she asks him to say hi to them since they're in the same class, but he doesn't reply, which just makes her mad and causes her to yell at him. To break the tension, Katsuya steps in and changes the subject by asking Kyoko about the new teacher. She tells them she's seen him and he doesn't look bad. She knows him well because he lived in her neighborhood, and he's nice and has some mysterious power. The students are surprised about this mysterious power. Kyoko tells them it's a total mystery, and he's even used his power to banish spirits before, which shocks Hiroshi. The other students, though, aren't buying it and think Kyoko is making it up. But suddenly, they hear a weird sound getting closer, grabbing everyone's attention, and the lights in the hallways start flicking off. Right then, Nueno was on his way to his class, playing scary music. This makes the students freak out when they hear it, and they get even more scared when they see him getting closer. When he walks into the classroom and shows himself, their fear just skyrockets even more. But then, the scary music cuts off, and some cheesy music starts playing instead, which totally embarrasses Nueno. As he's walking further into the class, his staff breaks, which really annoys him. Despite this awkward start, Nueno begins introducing himself as their new teacher. That's when Miki raises her hand, wanting to ask Nueno a question. After he says yes, Miki tells him she wants to see his exorcism power because she heard he has it. With intense anticipation, Nueno looks at the principal's picture, hesitating, but he tells himself he has to live up to his students' expectations to win them over. So, he shows them some weird stuff, puts a few charms on the principal's picture, and throws salt on it. Miki asks Kyoko if this is the power he has, but Kyoko isn't so sure anymore. Just then, teacher Ritsuko shows up, walks over to Nueno, and asks him what's happening. Nueno feels embarrassed, but he goes up to her and sees that she has tons of ghosts haunting her, and he thinks she might have a talent as a sutra canon medium. He shows her his book of incantations, which makes Ritsuko furious. She hits him, making the book fall to the ground, and scolds him because she hates supernatural stuff, then quickly walks away. Nueno desperately tries to make her wait, but it's no use. At this crucial moment, Hiroshi picks up the book from the floor, but his eyes gleam, and he remembers a painful incident he had, and his father also being hurt by an evil sorcerer. Angrily, he yells at Nueno, telling him to stop this and not to make fun of them, thinking they're just kids. He violently throws the book down. Kyoko desperately tries to explain to Hiroshi that Nueno is a real exorcist, but Nueno walks over to Hiroshi because he can't believe what just happened. He tells him that whether he believes him or not, they're in the same class. He almost puts his hand on Hiroshi's head to reassure him, but Hiroshi pictures him as evil and immediately shoves his hand away, throwing a punch at him. It doesn't faze Nueno one bit. Luckily, Kyoko steps in just in time and takes Hiroshi to class, leaving the other students surprised and baffled by Hiroshi's strange behavior. Later, the principal asks Nueno about his first day. Nueno thinks they're good students, but the principal senses Nueno is worried about something, so Nueno tells him that spirits and yokai don't always cause harm, and he can't just carelessly go around banishing everything. He'll figure out what to do after he builds up a lot of trust with his students. The principal agrees that Nueno is right and says he'll leave it to him, also asking him to protect the school's students. Nueno promises he will. In the courtyard, Hiroshi was playing a game with his friends. He gets angry because his friends are making fun of him and throws a violent punch at one of them, which makes him push his friend away. Afterward, Hiroshi feels super regretful about what he did. At Damori Hospital, Hiroshi was on a touching visit to his sick father and apologized to him, but his father gently tells him not to worry, saying he's fine now. Tamamo tells them he's leaving and asks Hiroshi's father to take care of himself. Hiroshi's father feels he's not doing well and hugs him tightly to reassure him, telling him everything will be okay. On the way home, Kyoko and Miki were walking together when Kyoko spots Hiroshi and calls out to him, but Miki tells her to stop because he caused a huge scene in the game today and got benched from being a starter. Even so, Kyoko goes up to him and calls out again. Suddenly, she sees something weird and scary in Hiroshi's body before it vanishes, which completely shocks Kyoko from this terrifying sight. The next day at school, a very worried Kyoko rushes to the teacher's room to talk to Nueno about Hiroshi, telling him he's acting scary, weird, and she's super concerned. She tells him he has no energy, gets mad suddenly, and wasn't like this before. Usually, he acts like a bit of a goofball, but he's a kind-hearted person. Trying to calm her down, Nueno tells her not to worry and that he'll talk to him. In the bathroom, we find Hiroshi talking to himself anxiously, trying to control his anger, repeating that he doesn't want to get angry today. But suddenly, Noyeno appears behind him and kindly asks Hiroshi if he's feeling any sudden anger fits, showing him his crystal and assuring him that he's listening to whatever Hiroshi wants to say. But this makes Hiroshi even angrier because of the supernatural things, shouting that he's tired of all this, and violently throws the crystal at Noyeno. Hiroshi sharply tells him not to come near him again, and leaves the place angrily. In class, Noyeno asks the students if they received their tablets and tells them he will teach them how to use them. But Hiroshi wasn't paying attention to him, and when Noyeno approaches him, wanting to know if he had any questions about his tablet, Hiroshi fiercely bares his fangs, causing Noyeno to cautiously back away from him. After that, Hiroshi picks up his device and starts examining it, but something strange and scary appears in his eyes, causing him to drop the device immediately. This strange behavior draws attention to him, and Miki mocks him, which makes him even angrier. Kyoko tries to calm him down and puts her hand on him to help, but Hiroshi pushes her hard, causing Kyoko to hit the wall and suffer bleeding from her head. Noyeno rushes to check on her, while Hiroshi regretfully tells himself that he did it again. At the hospital, Noyeno and Hiroshi were waiting for news to check on Kyoko. Noyeno tries to talk to Hiroshi, but Kyoko comes out and tells them she's fine. Hiroshi sincerely apologizes to her, but Kyoko sadly asks him how he could do that to a delicate lady like her. Hiroshi apologizes to her again shyly. After Noyeno confirms Kyoko's wound is fine and she's okay, he surprises everyone by apologizing to Hiroshi, which makes Hiroshi surprised by this unexpected action. Noyeno asks Kyoko that he wants to be alone with Hiroshi for a little while to talk to him. They head outside the hospital while Dr. Tamamo watched them anxiously from the hospital window. Noyeno and Hiroshi head to the nearby park. There, Noyeno sees a child crying while his mother holds him in despair, so he approaches them and asks her if he can examine the child. When he holds the child's hand, he casts a spell on him, which causes darkness to fall over the place, and he succeeds in extracting an anger worm from the child's hand. The child stops crying immediately while both Kyoko, who is watching them, and Hiroshi are amazed by this stunning scene. Noyeno approaches Hiroshi and shows him the worm, and Hiroshi asks about it with curiosity mixed with fear. Noyeno tells him it's an anger-fit worm and doesn't do it on purpose, but if it takes over him, he will become quick to anger for no reason. Usually, it attaches to children and causes no harm, but there are rare cases where it transforms into monsters or yokai, and is called the 99-legged insect. Noyeno suspects that this is the yokai that is currently controlling Hiroshi. Strange symptoms appear on Hiroshi, and Noyeno asks him to let him examine him and expel this thing from his body. But Hiroshi remembers what happened to him in the past when a spell was plastered on his face, so he grabs Noyeno's hand in an attempt to stop him, but this causes the worm to transfer to Hiroshi's hand, which surprises Noyeno. But things get worse when Hiroshi transforms into a monster because he was provoked by all these supernatural things, and he delivers a powerful blow to Noyeno. Kyoko is amazed by this terrifying scene and calls out to Hiroshi, but he runs away quickly. He remembers what happened to him in the past when his father took him to a spiritualist, trying to save him, and also when he was at home with his father, and his father tried to stop him from breaking things until his father got injured. Hiroshi was very sad for his father, but his father reassured him, hugged him, and told him that he was fine as long as Hiroshi was okay. When Hiroshi returns to the present, he feels intense anger, fully showing his power. Kyoko comes to check on him and is surprised when she sees Hiroshi's destructive power. Hiroshi transforms completely, becomes very angry, and flies high, violently telling Kyoko to leave him alone because she's bothering him, and throws his power at her. Kyoko immediately runs away but doesn't get far, and Hiroshi manages to catch her and throw her to the ground. He moves towards her with his full power, throws his power at her again, holds her tightly, and manages to restrain her, telling her in a scary voice that they must disappear from this world. But just in time, Noyeno appears despite his injuries, and throws a bunch of paper talismans at Hiroshi, successfully neutralizing his power, freeing Kyoko, and controlling him. Noyeno approaches Hiroshi, who feels immense sadness because of what he did, shouting that he doesn't want to hurt anyone and asking Noyeno what happened to him. But Noyeno continues casting the spell until he gets close to him, hugs him, and reassures him that he will be fine. When Noyeno holds his hand, Hiroshi immediately remembers his father and desperately and immediately asks Noyeno to help him. Noyeno tells him not to worry and that he will save him now, and he uses the power in his left hand, shows his true power, and asks Hiroshi to trust him. He delivers a powerful blow to Hiroshi, which expels the angry worm from Hiroshi's body. Hiroshi sees Noyeno in a demonic form, which amazes him at this majestic sight. Noyeno approaches the angry worm and didn't expect it to be this enormous. Noyeno tells the worm to leave this place immediately and stop hurting his students, but the worm attacks Noyeno. However, it changes its path and heads towards Hiroshi, so Noyeno pushes Hiroshi away from the worm's path, so it doesn't devour him. But Noyeno is devoured instead of Hiroshi, and from inside the worm, Noyeno uses his power and succeeds in causing it wounds, which leads to its complete destruction in an amazing explosion. Kyoko approaches Hiroshi, both of them amazed by what happened. When Noyeno rises from the rubble and asks them, "Are you two okay?" Kyoko anxiously asks Noyeno if he is okay. Hiroshi sincerely apologizes to Noyeno, but Noyeno sees it as normal to help his students with their problems, especially him because he is one of his dear students. Hiroshi feels afraid of Noyeno's hand when he sees it, but Noyeno gently tells him not to worry about his hands and that they are not dangerous. Then Kyoko confirms to him that Noyeno is indeed a ghost hunter, as he told them before. Hiroshi apologizes to Noyeno again, which causes Noyeno immense happiness. Suddenly, Dr. Tomato rushes toward them and delivers a sudden, powerful blow to Noeno, sending him flying. He then grabs Hiroshi, choking him tightly, and tells him in a villainous voice that he has been waiting for him for a long time. Kyoko, in shock, asks the doctor what he is doing. However, the doctor assumes she is Hiroshi's friend, and tells her in a threatening tone that he only wants Hiroshi today. When she is about to approach him to try and stop him, he throws her in the same direction as Noeno. Noeno quickly catches her before she hits the ground, preventing any harm. As she lies safely on the ground, Kyoko tells Noeno anxiously that Hiroshi is in serious trouble. Noeno immediately realizes this person carries that ominous, otherworldly aura. He's no ordinary human. Here, Tomato casts a powerful spell through his staff. When Noeno and Kyoko search for them afterward, neither Hiroshi nor Tomato can be found. Kyoko panics, wondering where they went, but Noeno uses his crystal to track them, sensing an overwhelmingly strong, otherworldly presence that causes intense pain in his hand. He tells Kyoko not to worry, explaining that a demon has lived in this hand ever since he sealed one inside after exorcising a student. This hand is powerful because it's the demon's weapon. Demons fight spirits unconsciously, just as they do with yokai. He puts on a glove to hide it, and says his priority now is catching up to Hiroshi. He tells her to go home alone, but Kyoko insists on joining him to help. Noeno firmly refuses, explaining that the aura he sensed is too strong and dangerous for her, finally convincing her to stay behind. Elsewhere, Tomato carries Hiroshi, telling him his plan would have failed because of an unexpected intruder. He throws Hiroshi from above, then jumps after him, saving him just before he hits the ground, terrifying the people on the street who witness the horrifying scene. Tomato notices Hiroshi no longer feels anger. It's clear to him that the parasitic worm has been completely purged. He looks up and sees a mark belonging to him, then starts moving. But Noeno arrives, and Tomato sees that he never gives up. Noeno casts a soul-binding spell on Tomato, but Tomato skillfully counters it. Tomato then uses his own spell, creating multiple copies of himself in the area. Next, Tomato throws a small stone that transforms into a fierce wolf, attacking Noeno, but Noeno delivers a strong blow to knock it away. Tomato then leaps from the top of a bridge. When Noeno looks for them, he finds Hiroshi lying on the ground and sees a massive tiger about to attack him. Noeno jumps in to save Hiroshi, but suddenly, the tiger turns into a motorcycle rider, and Hiroshi appears as a small kitten, while Noeno realizes he's been hit by a powerful illusion spell. Meanwhile, Tomato and Hiroshi are in a dark, eerie passageway. Tomato casts a spell on Hiroshi, freezing him in place and silencing him so he can carry out his perfect evil plan. Then he starts moving again. Noeno keeps searching for the real Tamato, directing his crystal toward the building where Tamato was standing, causing all the copies to vanish. But Noeno thinks he's lost their trail until he sees Tomato's symbol in the crystal. He puts the crystal in his bag and tries to open a map app on his phone, but it won't work, frustrating him. Kyoko suddenly appears, taking the phone from him to activate the app for him. He's surprised because he told her to stay away since it was dangerous, but she came anyway. She hands the phone back, telling him she's useful now, and asks if he's figured out Hiroshi's location. He hasn't yet, but he has led the 7 northern stars. He names the 7 stars in the sky and starts piecing things together with his crystal, explaining that Tamato left traces of them scattered across the city. Clearly, he's planning some kind of ritual based on each star's otherworldly aura. Kyoko thinks Hiroshi will be the victim and they need to hurry to save him, but Noeno believes they still have time because spiritual rituals follow strict sequences. He explains that if he follows the order of the 7 stars, it'll lead to the final location Hagen site. Kyoko recognizes the name and tells him it's an amusement park still under construction. She asks if he wants her to guide invite him there, and he says of course he does. Meanwhile, Tamato reaches his final point, thinking his perfect plan is about to succeed, but he spots Nuino heading his way, annoyed that he's interfering again. With little time left, he decides to deal with him now. Nuino stops and searches for them. When he sees Hiroshi hanging from a giant clock, about to be sliced by its hands, he rushes to save him. He grabs Hiroshi's foot, but time runs out, and Hiroshi's head is severed by the clock's hands, shocking Nuino. But then he realizes it's another illusion Tamato is playing with his mind, exploiting his worry for Hiroshi. Tamato then throws his spear at Nuino, hitting him accurately and knocking him forcefully to the ground. Tamato approaches him confidently and tells him with contempt that he didn't even have to try to finish him off. Despite his injury, Nuino tries to grab Tamato to stop him from leaving, but Tamato strikes him away violently. He looks up at the sky, thinking that tonight is perfect for performing the human incarnation ritual. He climbs to a high point and tells Hiroshi in a sinister voice that he needs his skull to become human so he can live among them. He adds that he first saw him 3 months ago and was happy because he could finally begin his ritual. He reveals that he went to the hospital, thinking it was the easiest way to find a skull, and became a doctor. However, he couldn't easily find a suitable one there. He remembers his past, when Hiroshi bumped into him one day while rushing. He saw that Hiroshi was the right person, and from that moment, he started watching him carefully until he was sure his skull was a perfect fit. He explains that human incarnation requires a human skull, but if any anger remains in it, it will act as noise and disrupt the ritual. So, he placed his otherworldly aura into a tantrum bug and threw it at Hiroshi to erase all his anger, monitoring its progress and symptoms. Returning to the present, he tells him that everything went better than expected because he now has a new skull in the palm of his hands. This enrages Hiroshi, who tells himself this terrifying revelation is all his fault. Tamato explains that he searched a lot among humans but found no one suitable, as they are all drowning in their selfishness, though he admits he isn't much better. For human incarnation, he wants a skull that fits him perfectly, or he won't be able to become a perfect yokai. He then strikes himself and pulls his own skull from his head, transforming into a huge, terrifying wolf, which scares Hiroshi immensely. Tamato throws his skull away and casts his spell through his spear. He chants the names of the 7 stars, and stars begin to light up all over the city, amazing some students with the supernatural sight. The park equipment starts operating on its own while Kyoko is searching for Nuinu in the area. Tamato tells Hiroshi that when he removes his skull, the human incarnation process will be complete, but Nuinu appears and tells him to stop. Hiroshi runs towards Nuinu, and Tamato notes how humans are not agile at all. He throws one of his magic stones, making them imagine a train coming towards them. Hiroshi gets scared and slows down, but Nuinu tells him to hurry up and not to slow down. Hiroshi gets closer to Nuinu and hugs him, but Nuinu takes the stone in his back, feeling intense pain. Hiroshi starts crying to Nuinu, saying he was scared, but Nuinu tells him not to worry and that he will protect him because he is his precious student. Tamato tells them he will get rid of him to complete the human incarnation ritual. Nuinu asks Hiroshi to move away, then advances towards Tamato and casts his spell, causing the demon spirit within him to emerge. Tamato is surprised by Nuinu's power and wonders about this terrifying strength. Tamato threatens him, saying he won't be gentle now. He throws 3 stones, causing wolf clones to appear and attack Nuinu. Nuinu also attacks them, but gets hit by one of the wolves, which sends him flying. He almost falls, but manages to hold on. The wolf clones attack him, but he successfully eliminates them and starts looking for the real Tamato. A train appears heading towards him again, but Tamato appears, impales him with the spear, and throws him into a large building. Hiroshi thinks that at this rate, Nuinu will be defeated. Inside the building, Nuinu and Tamato face each other, but Tamato uses the power of the clones again to attack Nuinu. Nuinu manages to defeat them, but fails to defeat the real Tamato. Tamato thinks it's over for them, but Nuinu gets angry and tells him he is a teacher and won't let him lay a hand on his students, pushing him back forcefully. Meanwhile, Hiroshi tries to open the door of a large container but can't. Kyoko comes over, tells him to move away, and smashes the container's glass. Tamato succeeds in throwing Nuinu from the top of the building, thinking Nuinu is interesting but has kept Hiroshi waiting. He uses the cloning stones again, and they attack him, but Nuinu prepares for them and meets them with a powerful blow that successfully hits the real Tamato. Tamato is surprised by this and asks Nuinu who he is. Nuinu tells him his name so he'll remember it, and that he is their class teacher. At this crucial moment, Hiroshi and Kyoko arrive and use the large container to magnetically attract Tamato's spear, causing Tamato to disappear. But before he vanishes, he tells them they will meet again. Nuinu feels extremely exhausted, and his students approach to check on him. He tells them he saved them because of the opportunity they created for him with their intelligence and courage. The lights of the 7 stars disappear, and beautiful little lights rain down on the city, amazing the students with the magical sight. Later, with Nuinu and his students, Hiroshi says he never believed spirit spirits or things like yokai even existed. Kyoko tells Hiroshi that Nuinu is real, just as she told him before, but Nuinu sees that it's hard to believe in things we haven't seen. He explains that they have lived alongside humans for a long time and are like mirrors that reflect human hearts, and they cannot be classified as good or evil. The important thing is not defeating them, but how to build a relationship with them. Kyoko thinks Hiroshi didn't understand this, but he understood this deep wisdom to some extent. The next day, Nuinu and Hiroshi go to apologize to Hiroshi's soccer coach, and he starts playing with his team again happily. At the hospital, Hiroshi's father is discharged safely, and Nuinu and Kyoko are waiting for him joyfully. Finally, at school, Nuinu watches the students run away in fear when they see him. He sadly approaches the principal's picture and asks Hiroshi not to scare the students any more than this. We moved to the school courtyard, where some students were playing, and the janitor was watching them all. The janitor kept an eye on the students, and when they looked at him, they felt a strong wind blowing towards them, which scared them, and they ran away. After that, we went to Noino, who was heading to his classroom, and he saw teacher Ritsuko, whom he admired, joking with Kyoko and Miki. Noino rushed up to her and told her there was something on her back, and when she asked what it was, he told her there was a spirit, which frightened Ritsuko, and she asked him not to joke with her because she was afraid of such things. He then apologized and said he would take it back, but she was shocked because he had touched her and screamed, which attracted more students, and Ritsuko went to her room, making Noino very sad. The other students approached Noino, and Hiroshi told him he shouldn't talk to her about scary things. Then Miki approached Noino and told him about a rumor about a late-night honor student who did strange things like replacing flowers, cleaning the rabbit cage, and wiping the blackboards, working all night in the school in the dark, and no one knows who this person is. She asked him if he thought it was scary. Makoto thought it might be a ghost, but Katsuya did not believe in ghosts, claiming they were not real, and Kyoko wondered if it was a ghost, they should confirm it. Hiroshi also asked for Noino's opinion. However, Noino said he shouldn't believe such a rumor, and asked Hiroshi not to take it seriously, telling them to return to their class and left. Then night fell, and the students returned to the school to look for the janitor. Makoto felt very scared, but Hiroshi was very excited, and Katsuya felt happy because Hiroshi was back to his usual self, as he had been worried about him. Miki wondered if a ghost was real and if they could befriend it. Kyoko asked them to be quiet because she heard a strange sound and told them there was a noise coming from the classroom. When they opened the classroom door, they saw the janitor, and Hiroshi confirmed he was real. Then Noino came and grabbed Hiroshi, which scared him, and Hiroshi asked Noino not to scare him. Noino asked why they were there at this time, but Hiroshi explained that they weren't doing anything bad and had come to see the janitor at midnight. Noino then told them to stay outside and approached the janitor, saying he knew this and asked his students to keep it quiet. The students approached him one by one, surprising Hiroshi. The next day, they turned on the lights, and Noino began explaining his subjects. While the students listened, the honor student Miki asked about something she didn't know, which frightened her greatly, and she became hesitant. Noino immediately intervened and asked if he wanted anything, assuring him he would help him with anything. The student said he was very nice and that he really liked him, and Miki was even more amazed when she saw he hadn't written anything in his book, just doodled. But Noino told him he would teach him the alphabet, which made the other students scared. Time passed, and it became very dark, and Noino asked them to start the party. Hiroshi questioned whether the party was an expulsion, right? Kyoko got excited about doing it too. Then Noino turned off the light and showed them a wooden box, telling them it was made of flowers, revealing what was inside, a Japanese doll. He explained that these spirits tend to find homes in human-shaped objects, even this silent doll, but the janitor asked if he thought this doll had a spirit. Hiroshi told him he was sure, and Kyoko told him that the doll had feelings. Noino noticed that spirits inhabit things that have been used for a long time, especially this doll. Noino then cast his spell on the doll and showed them the spirit of the doll, leading to astonishment among his students. He informed them that when there are things like the spirits of dolls, they turn into haunted items called Tsukumogami. Over time, they transform into people and start to have thoughts and feelings, which astonished the janitor, and everyone marveled at this student's behavior. Hiroshi told him they had seen a doll spirit before, and Miki mentioned she had met him before and asked if he remembered. Kyoko speculated whether another doll spirit was in the room, and the janitor inquired about its location, believing this particular spirit belonged to his doll statue. Noino then approached him, informing him that this second spirit had been preserved for a long time and had been used for a long time until now, and it now had a spirit. But that wasn't all. It had forgotten it was a doll and believed it was a student here, which startled the janitor and frightened the other students. The janitor asked if he was this doll, revealing his true self, which shocked Kyoko. The janitor then asked Noino what he meant, and Noino confirmed that it really was him. He then recalled when it was first mentioned, it was inside a cover opened by Ritsuko, and he was very frightened at that time. Noino explained he had been in a deep sleep at the back of the science lab lab and was taken out of the cover by the cleaners. Noino was also concerned at that time after it came out because he expected that when he watched the children, his repressed feelings began to flow, and when he started walking through the hallways at night and cleaning the school to imitate the children, he was seen by people and became known as the famous Midnight Student. When Noino met him, he didn't want to recklessly drive away the good spirit until the next day when he spoke with the students and told them to act normal, treating it as a human, but he wanted to make her realize she was a doll spirit without frightening her. Kyoko suggested they treat her as a real honor student and put her in a classroom. Noino would explain a lesson about the spirits of dolls and gently help her realize who she was, and the other students got excited about this idea, except for Makoto, who was scared. Hiroshi predicted that as long as Noino was present, everything would be fine. Noino began to think, but Miki begged him until he agreed to the idea, leading to their happiness as they returned to the present. He told him that he understood now, and that he was a spirit that escaped from this human form. However, the student denied this and told them that he was a human, not a model. But Noino didn't believe him and approached him to stop his heart to return to the model. The student pushed Noino's hand away and ran away. Then he went to one of the mirrors and saw himself in it, feeling a huge shock from his appearance, realizing that he was not human and was just a doll in the shape of a human with a spirit. He fell to the ground, and Noino and the other students were watching him. He felt sad, and Noino thought this made the situation harder. Then Hiroshi gathered his courage and approached him, telling him not to be depressed and asked him to go play together as they were friends for a day. He asked his friends about this, and they all agreed. The student thanked them and asked what game they would play. Hiroshi told him they would play tag, and he would be the winner. The student remembered watching them play it in the yard, and told them that now they were friends. He then smashed the mirror, but Noino immediately approached him and asked him to calm down, saying that they needed to clean this up and requested that they get out because it was dangerous for them. When the students left the bathroom, he went into the cleaning supplies room to fetch a cleaning tool, but when he entered, he couldn't get out because the door was locked from the outside. The student went out to Hiroshi and his friends, and Hiroshi thought that Noino was delayed because he was cleaning the place. Then the doll came out to them and told them since they were friends, they should be similar, and he would peel off their skin to look like him. He then showed them a piece of the glass he had shattered and revealed its other half. He began a countdown to transform them into his likeness, which terrified them until the doll finished counting. The students immediately ran away from him, and the doll chased them because he wanted them all to resemble each other. But Hiroshi thought that at this rate, they would be killed, so they had to hide. The doll jumped high and attempted to strike, but he didn't hit anyone. Instead, he slashed the cleanliness notice in half. The students escaped once again, using the glass shard in the wall. They then split into two groups. The first group hid behind the trees, very scared, until the doll came to them, calling them out, asking them to show themselves to become similar. He was about to find them when he heard the sound of a door closing, which distracted him. Then we switched to the other team, who thought they were safe, until the doll started knocking on the door from outside. But Hiroshi reassured Kyoko that he had locked the door well. However, they didn't expect the doll to come in through the window, which surprised them, telling them that cleaning was fun, but playing with them was even more enjoyable. They hid from him so he wouldn't see them, and he began searching for them. However, he succeeded in finding them and told them that they would now be similar friends. He almost stabbed them, but Noino intervened just in time and saved them, which made Hiroshi and Kyoko happy. Noino apologized to them for being late and told the doll that he was very overwhelmed, to the point that he went into a frenzy. He asked if the doll had enough fun. Then he transformed the doll back into a spirit and asked him to return to his ship. They then moved to the classroom, and the spirit told Noino that he wanted to be human, but Noino rejected this because he could not. Noino then left the spirit and cast his spell, turning his hands into devil hands, which astonished the others since it was their first time seeing this. Hiroshi and Kyoko were excited because they had seen it before. Then Noino prepared to seal the human model, striking it until he succeeded in banishing the spirit. He told them that by giving this holy book that seals the spirit, it would be complete in one night. But Miki felt bad, and Kyoko wanted the spirit to become human. However, Noino felt that this was what had to be done. The doll should not become human. Miki then felt hungry and asked Noino to order them dinner. They went out of the classroom to get food, leaving the doll alone. But the spirit appeared again the next day when Noino was with the principal. The principal asked him to compensate for what had been damaged and told him he couldn't find the human model anywhere, but Noino was confident that he had left it there yesterday. However, the principal didn't believe him and told him that he had destroyed the cleanliness notice, the bathroom mirror, and the storage window, saying that he would send him a bill for all of this. Noino approached the principal, telling him that the human model did this, but the principal didn't believe him and told him to pay him next month, which made Noino cry a lot. Noino then moved with his students, feeling very sad. Miki thought that Noino would buy them ramen, but Noino would lose all his money in the hell of compensation. However, Hiroshi told him that he made a promise to them, and that today was the perfect opportunity since he had no football training. Then Katsuya asked about the whereabouts of the human model. Kyoko thought it had shifted again, and asked Hiroshi if it was possible for the model to move without a spirit. Then the doll appeared to them and told them that he had become human after all. Noino was about to approach him, but he stopped him, saying he came to greet them, and then revealed himself, telling him that he hadn't put on his skin yet, which frightened them. After that, the doll ran away, and Noino asked him to wait until a car passed between them. The doll disappeared after that, leaving everyone astonished. Noino thought, since the doll had become human, that half of Yuka must be affected by the spiritual magnetic field and might be present in any other school. We moved on to the school, and teacher Ritsuko was walking between the students in the classroom hallway, which made the kids happy to see her. Ritsuko greeted all of them, then Noino came running from a distance to greet her too, but she told him he shouldn't run in the hallway. He didn't care and asked her if she had any plans for today. She hesitated to answer, and when he asked her why, Noino wanted to invite her to dinner, making Ritsuko feel happy about it. However, her happiness faded when she learned from Noino that he would take her to a new restaurant overlooking the graveyard, and he mentioned that she would get amazing service from a first-class zombie, and enjoy drinks that would be cocktails, decorated with eyeballs, along with food that would be a collection of skulls, and a beautiful show of dancing spirits. This made Ritsuko feel very scared, and she hit him and walked away, causing Noino to start crying. Next, we moved to Noino's class where he asked his students what he should do. Some thought that any woman would be upset about this, while others were surprised that she agreed in the first place. One guy thought that mental strength has a negative impact on this, but Hiroshi believed that Noino's strength was amazing, which made Noino happy and prompted Hiroshi to hug him because he complimented him. Miki wanted to gain the same mental strength that Noino had, too, but Noino thought mental strength isn't always good. However, Miki insisted that it was good for Noino, and that he was different from everyone else, and since she had a stunning appearance, she'd become famous with mental strength. She imagined herself as a big artist and thought she would get a biographical movie and win an award for it, traveling around the world for spirit banishment shows as well. Then she snapped back from her daydream as Noino told them it was study time. After that, Miki immersed herself in studying and dug deeper into mental powers. Even during the class, she would read books about mental strength. Noino caught her and confiscated the book, but she had another one, and was no longer focused on anything except reading and listening to talks about mental power. Later, when she got home, she saw an advertisement on TV about mental strength, advising people not to relive their memories and to try to remember everything they did today in reverse. It was possible to gain mental strength, and Miki found this interesting while listening to it, thinking it was scary, but she decided to give it a try. Then she went to bed and started remembering what happened with her, from drying her hair to showering, having dinner, and studying. Then she remembered something important. She hadn't studied for her math test tomorrow, but she decided to focus on reliving her memories tonight and fell asleep. A lightning strike occurred, and she was hit by it while sleeping, but she didn't feel it. Next, we moved back to the school where Miki felt very sleepy in her class while Noino was explaining things. He asked Miki to read to perk herself up a bit, and she started reading, but didn't continue and ended up falling asleep, making Noino angry while all the other students laughed at her. Noino then told Miki to go sleep in the nurse's office until the first period was over, which became Miki's habit. But Noino surprised her with the news that she would have a math test in the second period, which made her sad. He told her to clear her head until the next period. Then Miki went to the nurse's office but found no one there, so she took off her shoes and lay down to sleep, wishing she could know the test questions to be able to pass. She fell asleep, and the lightning struck her again. When Miki woke up, she transformed into Yoka with a long head and began to float inside the school. She flew to the teacher's room and headed for Noino's desk, where she saw the math exam with his answers. She began to beam with joy over the answers. Then teacher Ritsuko came, and Miki approached her and turned around, telling her that she smelled nice, which frightened Ritsuko a lot. Miki thought she was dreaming and requested Ritsuko not to scream so she wouldn't wake up startled. Then Noino and the other students heard Ritsuko scream and rushed to her, but Miki had disappeared, and Ritsuko was lying on the ground. Noino held her to check on her, and Ritsuko told him she saw her. Kyoko and Hiroshi both guessed she might have seen a ghost or a yokai, and Ritsuko confirmed they were indeed real, which made Noino angry, and he questioned how this was possible, but he also asked Ritsuko if anything happened to her. She started describing what it looked like while being very scared. Hiroshi and Kyoko simultaneously guessed it was a yokai called Rokuro Kubi, both astonished. We then shifted to their class as they started distributing the test papers. Katsuya was talking with Makoto about the yokai that appeared, telling her she would be devoured first, which scared Makoto. Noino then told them to stop talking and focus on their test. Miki, still feeling extremely drowsy despite taking a nap in the nurse's office, began looking at the test paper and realized these were the questions she saw in her dream. She discovered that she had gained mental power and screamed out in joy because of it, which puzzled everyone around her. She then felt embarrassed by the students' stares and apologized before sitting down, but Noino looked at her in surprise. Miki started solving the test and finished 20 minutes before time was up, which surprised Noino. She went up to hand in her test paper, and Noino thought she gave up. But when he looked at the paper, he thought she should have spent more time on it. To his astonishment, she had answered all the questions correctly, leaving the students also amazed. Miki then went home and continued watching clips about mental powers. She told herself she couldn't believe she had gained such an awesome power and thought about quitting school because she would become a world-famous woman. She imagined herself in her own show and felt extremely happy with that thought, believing she now needed to practice her precognitive powers. Then she got the idea to fly to her friends' houses. She went to Kyoko's place where she was taking a shower, feeling very happy while singing. Miki joined in by singing from outside the window while floating in the air, which surprised Kyoko. Miki then immediately moved on to Hiroshi, who was also in the bathroom taking care of his business, feeling angry because the toilet paper ran out. But she threw some paper at him, which surprised him as well. Miki also went to Katsuya and Makoto, who felt very scared upon seeing her. Then she started floating freely in the air again. The next day, we go to school. Miki was heading to her classroom, happy about what happened yesterday. When she entered the classroom, her friends were waiting for her, looking at her in amazement. Noob was with them. Miki asked, "What's the problem with everyone?" Katsuya thought she had deceived them and didn't believe she was a Rokurokubi yokai. Miki didn't understand and asked him what he was talking about. Kyoko, however, didn't know Miki was a yokai. Makoto asked her how she could have deceived them, being human all this time. But Miki told them that what happened yesterday was a psychic power called clairvoyance. She approached them, but the students got scared and moved away, which shocked Miki. Noob asked the students to calm down and that he would protect them. Miki was surprised that Noob also believed the students, but Noob asked to speak with her alone because Hiroshi had told him everything. Miki hesitated to go with him and asked why he wanted that. She felt terrified, remembering Noob exorcising ghosts with his demon hand. She ran away in fear. Noob told the students to stay in the classroom and chased after Miki. Some of the students followed them as well. Miki was running and crying when Ritsuko appeared in front of her in the hallway. She screamed in terror, remembering she was the yokai who had appeared to her. Noob tried to reassure her to calm down, but she struck him. Miki continued to run, and Noob continued to chase her. She threw things at him. Then she aimed a fire extinguisher at him until he couldn't see her anymore, and she disappeared. Miki moved to the gymnasium and started asking herself why they thought she was a yokai. Then she lost consciousness, and the lightning appeared on her again. Miki woke up, surprised by what had happened to her, and wondered why her head was like that. Then Noob came to her and told her she was hiding there. He prepared his special spell and approached Miki, which scared her. She threw things at him again and ran away, coming out in front of her friends, which surprised them. She flew high, and Miki tried to explain to them that she wasn't a ghost, but the situation got worse. The neck kept stretching among the students, which angered Noob. Miki was running after them to explain everything and asked them to listen to her, but Noob blocked Miki's path and managed to stop her. He used his power while holding her and was about to strike her, but Miki knocked him to the ground and escaped. Then she looked at her friends with great sadness, crying and laughing at the same time, not believing she had become a yokai. She decided she wouldn't give up without a fight. She attacked Noob and managed to restrain him, then lunged to strike him but crashed into his strong hand, which caused her pain. She then shrank back inside the gymnasium. Noob ran into the same room, but Miki asked him not to kill her. Noob told her not to move, but Miki told him she wouldn't look at the test answers again and wouldn't spy on what everyone was doing anymore. She pleaded with him, but Noob insisted on striking her. However, Kyoko intervened and asked him to stop and not kill her. She went to Miki's side and told her she was still Miki, even if she was a yokai, and that she was still her friend. Hiroshi also stepped forward and defended Miki, making excuses for her. He told him to think of her long neck as part of her personality, and who cares if there's a Rokurokubi in their class. Then Katsuya and Makoto stepped forward and also defended Miki, saying she was their friend forever and they would get used to it. This made Miki happy that her friends were supporting her despite her appearance, and she cried a lot. The rest of the students also asked him to leave her alone, not just her close friends. Noob approached her and told them not to worry, that it wouldn't take a second, and struck her, revealing her true head. Miki was surprised by this and asked him about her current head. Noob told her that what had extended was not her physical body but her spiritual body. He explained that the Rokurokubi was seen as a yokai that could stretch its neck, but in reality, it's a phenomenon where only the head and neck of the spiritual body extend and move around while you are asleep. Miki asked Noob, "So I'm not a yokai?" He told her she wasn't. Then he told her and the rest of the students that he was very proud of them, which made the students happy. Miki was overjoyed and started talking to her friends, asking them who they were calling a yokai. She said she wasn't a Rokurokubi, just a sleepwalker. She then turned to the other students and warned them she would sue them because she felt insulted and demanded compensation. Noob approached her body and started thinking about what to do, but the effect on her was very strong. Meanwhile, Miki was having fun with her friends by flying high, but Noob got angry because if she continued doing this, she would never return to normal. This made them stop. Noob then used his power and succeeded in returning her to her normal state. She felt happy to be back to normal and thanked Noob profusely, but he was annoyed because he would have to pay for all the things she had broken. The next day, life returned to normal. Noob was teaching the students in the classroom as usual, and they had another math test. Miki played a prank on one of her friends to scare him, and he got terrified. But Noob got very angry and told her they were in the middle of a test. Her friends laughed at her, and Noob got angry with Miki.